Thank you for stopping by my kitchen. You are very welcome. Today I've been making broccoli and Stilton soup. I got this recipe from Dr. John Campbell, internet sensation. I've been watching his YouTube channel since the beginning of the pandemic. He does YouTubes on information about the pandemic, but before he started that, he used to do medical YouTubes for his student, well, for anybody really, but I know he used to teach student nurses. And reading between the lines, I think he did the recipe for broccoli soup for his student nurses because one, it is very, very nutritious, and if you want to know the nutrition in it, all the vitamins and minerals, I have put the link below, and you can go and watch Dr. John's version, and he goes into great depth of what's in it. It's quite interesting. The other reason why I think he made this for his student nurses is because it's very cheap. So the amount I've made today makes between 5 and 6 portions, and even if I worked it out earlier, and even if I only make 5 portions, it only works out at 35p a portion. And I've asked Google, and that works out at 49 cents for anybody that's in the US. So very nutritious and very cheap. Here's how I made it. First we need to prepare the broccoli. So we'll just take the florets off and just prepare these as though you're preparing normal broccoli. I just wash them in salty water. The thing I love about this recipe is that it uses all the broccoli. Normally when I'm cutting up broccoli to cook, it's a complete waste throwing away the stalk. So I do love this recipe because you use all the broccoli, so there's no waste. And just cut off that end piece of the stalk that's been exposed to air. So you've got a nice fresh end piece, and that goes in the water too to be washed. So now we need to put some olive oil into the pan. Be quite generous with this. This soup makes about 6 portions, so yeah, quite a bit of olive oil, it's good for you. I'm going to cut up the onion. First thing to be done is frying off the onion. So this cutting of the onion doesn't have to be done too precise. It's all going to be whizzed up at the end, so it doesn't have to be in tiny little pieces. I just chop it all up, pop it all in the oil. So next we need to cut up the potato. I've washed this potato. This is probably a little large. I would have preferred a smaller one than this, about 2/3, but this is all Tesco's had, and loose potatoes. This was the smallest I could get. So just chop this up, skins on, and just make sure all the pieces are about the same size. So that sort of size. If you're used to cooking potatoes, the size of potato that will boil in 20 minutes, that's what you want. If you're not used to cooking potatoes, then that size. And give that a stir. Now the good bit, we put the broccoli stalk in. These need to be cut fairly small. Just put it in the oil, give that a mix. So just to recap, we have the onion, the potato and the broccoli stalk in here now, and we'll leave that for a few minutes to fry while we make the stock. So you can use any stock you want. I use vegetable stock, just gravy granules really, so I just put a teaspoon in and fill it up to 750 millilitres, which is on this side. But you can use a stock cube, you can use chicken stock, you can use You know, if you make your own stock, you can use that. Anything you like. Right, that's 750 millilitres. So what we need to do now is just pour the stock into the saucepan. Pop the lid on, bring to the boil, and boil it for 10 minutes. So that's had 10 minutes. We're now going to add the broccoli florets. We need to stir these in, and they just all need to be covered. We might have to add a tiny bit more water, but we don't want to add too much water because the soup will become runny. They just need to be all cooked. A stir, see if they'll go with this much water, and if not, we'll add more. I think I just need to add a tiny bit to that. See, this all depends how big your broccoli is, how big your onion is, how big your potato is. I would say that was about right. They're only just about under the water. Then we need to add salt and black pepper. There, perfect. That needs to boil for another 10 minutes. Just give it a stir halfway through. While that's boiling, we need to cut the Stilton. Now I have 220 grams of Stilton here. This is what came in the pack today, so I'm going to cut this in half. So it's going to be 110 grams today, but it's about, really. They're not precise measurements. So the other half of this I'll wrap and put in the fridge for the next broccoli soup I make. So what I like to do here is I cut off this back bit. You'll see it's kind of it's a horrible colour, and the bottom bit. The top bit's fine. I don't know if you're supposed to or not, but I just do because I don't like the look of it. And then we're just chopping this up into small pieces, really. And that will go in the soup at the end. So that's had its second 10 minutes. I can see all the potatoes done because it's falling apart, but I'm just going to check with my knife to make sure all the broccoli stalk is soft. So just pop a knife in there, that's soft. That's a big piece, if that piece is done. This is the stalk here, that's soft. Yeah, that's fine, that's done. If you cut your pieces slightly bigger than that, they might not be done yet. If they still feel very hard, just give it a couple more minutes until it's all nice and soft. But don't overcook, we don't want to overcook things. So turn the heat off. So now we need to whiz it up. Here you have a choice. If you're used to making soup and you do have a glass blender, you can whiz it up in the blender. My blender's got a plastic jug, so I use one of these to whiz it up. So what I do when I think I've got it blended, and this I've figured out through many times of cooking it, is I rake through to see if I have any bits, any big bits left. Because personally I don't like bits in my soup. There are a few bits left there, only a few little bits. This is personal taste. You might like little bits in your soup, but I like it quite smooth. So I'm going to give it another whiz. There, no bits left in there. So now we need to carefully put our Stilton into the saucepan. Just give it a stir I have no heat on at the moment. At this stage we need to add quite a lot of salt. Remember, this is the soup is for 6 portions, so you might think I'm adding an awful lot of salt here, but it is for 6 people. And just keep stirring until all the Stilton is totally melted. If you haven't got enough heat left in the pan, then you will have to put the hob on again, but very, very low. And probably turn it off once your pan's heated, because we do not want to boil this. We do not want to burn the cheese. Once the cheese is melted, the soup will turn from being sort of grainy to being quite glossy, and you'll be able to feel the resistance. I'm going backwards and forwards like this. I can feel the cheese has melted because there's more resistance than there was without the cheese in it. So all we need to do now is have a little taste to see if it needs more salt. Blow, it's going to be very hot. I think that's about right. If you would like to see more recipes like this, please don't forget to subscribe.